Well, as you saw from the video, the new old stock Stoker plate, the holes don't exactly line up with the studs on this base. I'm gonna take a die grinder to it and see if we can't get it to fit. Don't try this at home, kids. Precision alignment. Okay. All 8 peeking through now. Well, it's a lot more interesting than it needs to be. Well, there you go. After a bit of fighting, Stoker plate's on there. So now we can clean up the 4 bolts that hold the motor bracket, gearbox bracket, auger pipe plate on. And we'll slide that piece together and get the pot bolted up to it. And we'll move on from there. Well, all right. We got the pot bolted to the bracket, all tightened up in there. Got the blower housing on, well, the bottom part of the blower housing. The one thing that's a little tricky is this screw right here goes through here and comes out here. So what that does is it braces the top of the blower so that it kind of minimizes vibration. A lot of people just leave that out and it can make stuff wiggle loose and that kind of fun stuff. And we also had to make sure, you have to make sure you seal the blower housing to the air pipe, because any leaks there are just going to blow combustion air into the fire chamber here, and that will make your draft go positive while the stoker's running, and that ain't good. It's all right. We'll get to the rest of it. All right, so we got this thing put together enough to slide this here auger in. Get it into there. And paint this pot bushing up with some anti-seize, because we don't want that to ever get stuck in the cast iron pot. That would be bad. Yeah, don't be afraid to use a lot. Buttered up pretty good. And I'm just going to stick some in this bushing. I think it's rides on the face here, and I think that's brass. So it should be pretty hard to butter that up with rust, at least. That this bushing rides up on this part here, so get that buttered up pretty good too. This is also where the oil port is on the side of this tube. So once a month or so, you're supposed to squirt some oil in that. There. Go. It's all nice and good. Now, get this all the way through here. I usually just keep turning it. It's going to get hung up on stuff. Keep turning it. And eventually, lift it. This should fit right in there. Should. Belt on here. Hopefully. There we go. Now, four little motor bolts. Dab anti-seize on them. Get it started in here. Again, these are just the original bolts. I just wire wheel them off and stick them in there. We might paint this motor gearbox before the total final assembly. Right now, this is good enough. See if the fan's going to hang up on anything. Hopefully. Now we can put the fan housing on. Remember what I did with the screws. Okay. tighten down. Make sure it all spins okay. Looks good. Just gotta get that nut wire wheeled up later, but right now, stick the air valve on. That's enough air for show. All right. Now we can throw the grates in there too. There we go. That's about as put together as it's going to get for tonight. Well, there it is. Running gentleman janitor. Air is blowing out of the pot. Auger's turning. I just have this plate on with a couple of bolts. It's a little rattly right now, but that's just because I don't have the gasket in here. But yeah, that's it. He's just about ready to stick in place. And first thing we're going to do when we get the auger into the bin is we'll do some feed rate tests